You're listening to Fucks Given, the one with Zach Zane. Hello, curious fuckers.
Hello, Florence. Back from
Hello,
your festivities.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm actually on just like, I'm so tired. It's like the second day back, but I don't know if I'm tired from the festival. I think I'm just tired from getting my second vaccine right now. How are you?
Yeah, we're vaccine sisters. I got mine yesterday as well, but I think mine's hit me less because I've actually had COVID. I don't know if that plays a part.
Yeah, potentially. I think I just
really.
got I think today for me is like a lot of things all compiled.
Yeah,
so I think
all
it's
at
like
once.
the festival blues / like tired from all the activity at the festival,
Activities.
and then also like being slammed with a lot of like heartbreaking feelings again. It's just like, it's relentless.
Why doesn't it not let you live? So how was the festival? Was it okay? Why were there heartbreak feels?
Oh, well, the festival, I was very anxious about the festival because, as you know, my ex was going to be there. And also it was my first ever festival. But to be honest, ever, the grand old age of 30. But I feel like I've waited for the perfect time and opportunity to go to a festival because I think I'm like in the right place now with myself.
Yeah, you've got to be ready for a festival.
Like
Loads of people like get dragged along with their friends and they're just a bit like,
you
know, it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. And if your mental health isn't in the right place, then festivals can be like too much. I've been to so many festivals where I'm like, I fucking wish I didn't go.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually had the best time and it was just what I needed after COVID and like lockdown and all those things. Like to be in a space with so many people experiencing so much like joy, love and happiness and like freedom as well. And just get to enjoy like music and friends. And I met so many amazing people when I was there. When I came back, I sent you a voice note, didn't I? And I was just like buzzing. I was like, my heart, it's so full of love. And like, yeah, I did feel really good. There was, there were trials and tribulations as well. So on Friday night, basically, I saw my ex very briefly as he was coming into the festival. For some reason, like timing wise, he was just like, oh, I'm seeing you already, like this is how it's gonna be. and then on Friday I just, as you do, first I'm very excited, got very, very, very drunk because we started drinking at like 12 or something, and then by the end of the evening, wasted. Would have been fine if I hadn't have then like I was at the main stage and I saw one of my like old school friends, actually one of my old family friends, and I was chilling with them and their new girlfriend, and suddenly who like walks up next to me to start listening to the music right next to me? Quarantine Bay and his brother. And I was like oh my god, this is great.
You literally bump into everyone you know. It's so weird. It just like gravitates.
Oh my god, and I bumped into your boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay, we're not.
Well,
hold
not
up,
boyfriend, but
hold up. Whoa, now.
Oh, no.
Lord have mercy.
Whoa.
Speaking of which, I actually wanted to bring this topic up on the podcast because we had a chat recently about like what we're doing next. Like I am confused with why is there not a perfect or correct term for like someone more than seeing someone. And like I don't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Like I'm not okay with that term just because of like, like the tradition and the patriarchy and like what people think boyfriend and girlfriend means and what it means for the future. Basically, as soon as you start saying boyfriend and girlfriend, it's immediately like, oh, well, this is, you're settling down and this is it now. And like, have you, and there's this weird idea of like, and I'm sure loads of people throughout the situationship series where they're seeing somebody but they don't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and then there's a load of judgment as well from that side being like, oh my god, you've been seeing each other for a year, like why aren't you boyfriend and girlfriend? You should be boyfriend and girlfriend, you basically are boyfriend and girlfriend. Like so like that's what we are, we're not doing anything different. I just don't want that fucking label.
I think that's what me and Quarantine Bay struggled with like a lot throughout the whole relationship, and the labels were like a big pressure. But yeah, you're totally right. It's a really tricky situation, because as soon as you put the labels on, it does suddenly become like more than just a casual relationship. It becomes, but it shouldn't be really. Like, I don't think boyfriend and girlfriend should mean that. I think when you start saying life partner, then yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah, or even just partner. But boyfriend and girlfriend,
partner.
one, I don't know. It feels very like teenage to me. It's like, oh yeah, boyfriend and girlfriend, even though that's like a lot of what people who are single strive to have. And even the term situationship, I find like, again, has negative stigma around
Definitely
it.
negative. Yeah.
I don't want to be forced into a situation where I have to be boyfriend and girlfriend because of what society thinks or because of what other people think.
Yeah.
I mean,
your
like, what would it
lover.
change being boyfriend and girlfriend?
It wouldn't change anything.
It doesn't mean that like
I guess that's the thing, and that's why I ended up being boyfriend girlfriend with my ex, because we kind of got to a point where we had been in that situation for so long that it was just like, well, the best way to describe you is my boyfriend. We'll think on that.
We'll have to come back to it. So yeah, that was exciting. Things are very cute on my side, which is nice.
Yeah, he was lovely. I couldn't believe it was like one of the first people that I bumped into, and he was like friends with my friend's friend, so it all like linked up, and I was just like,
so incestuous. Love,
so incestuous.
I really love that. Like I think it should just be like a nice moment of like meeting each other, and
it was lovely.
At a festival.
Yeah,
Yay. That's really nice, because of course you want everyone to like the person you're seeing.
Yeah. I approved.
Oh, nice. The Florence seal of approval. That festival as well. Like you see all the pictures coming back from the festival. You're like, I want to be in a festival immediately.
Yeah, you're gonna be back there. You're gonna be back there soon. Next weekend. Right?
Oh yeah. I've got like, a day festival, field day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. Yeah. I'm fucking can't wait. I'm gonna see Bicep.
Nice. Okay, back to the story. I bumped into Quarantine Bay, and I was so drunk, and I was like trying to hold his hand, and like apparently I was like trying to like talk about like the relationship stuff, and he was just there like trying to listen to the music. Like, it was one of his mates playing as well, and I was just like really distracting him. And then basically it got down to and I was like in this like weird like drunk space, and I was like, oh my god, like, I don't even recognize you right now. Like, what are you, like, who is this person that I'm talking to? Because he put up like, because I freaked him out so much, because he was just like, Florence, like, you're so drunk, I don't know what to do. Like, I actually don't know what to do. And because he's really hurting to do the breakup as well, like, he was just like, I don't know whether I was like supposed to look after you. And he was just like, this is what I didn't want to happen at the festival. And obviously it happened. But anyway, he decided very rightfully that he was going to remove himself from the situation. But that left me like in my drunken state, like in... my god, like I just started flooding with tears, and I like left my friends, like wandered off by myself, and like sat on this little hill, like in a little like space where there wasn't that many people, and I just like sat like with my knee, like both my hands like on my face, and like just sobbing like so much. And I had like, you know, and like people at the festivals are so nice. I had so many people like coming up to me just being like, oh babe, like what's wrong, like this and that, like just like, and they were like looking after me, like, look, here's my number, like if you want to come and hang out with us at the campsite, like just give us a text. And like these two boys came up to me as well, and they were like, don't cry, like don't cry about a guy, like you're so hot, you don't deserve to be crying, like you're just so hot, you're gonna be okay. And I
thing is, it's with alcohol, right?
I was like, I'm not gonna be okay. I won't be okay.
I swear, once the like waterworks start with alcohol, and you're at that level of drunk, they are non-stoppable.
They won't stop. They won't stop. And then I like wandered off, and I was like trying to find my friend that I came with, and then this girl who I'd like previously met on like route in the artist crew camping bit, she like, they saw me, her and her girlfriend saw me like wandering around. They were like, oh, like what's wrong? Like obviously because I was crying, I was a mess. And then, what's up? And she like basically like was my guardian angel, took me under her wing, like took me to the roller disco to like dance my feels away, and like made sure that I was okay. Aww. And like with people. And then I just, you know, it got to a point where I was just like, I need to put myself to bed. To put myself to bed.
It's like gone past that point. Yeah. Wake up fresh the next day.
Yeah. Woke up definitely not fresh the next day. Worst hangover in the world. Yeah, sure. But then I was just like, look, I was on a mission the next day to talk to my ex and like basically put everything, like just be like, oh my God, I am so sorry for putting you in that situation. It was not okay. Like, I was wasted. That's not an excuse. Like, just let's please put this behind us. And we had a really, really good chat. And we were able to like kind of like hang out the rest of the festival, and like not like continuously, but like it was fine for the rest of the festival. Like after that night, I kind of decided that I was going to stay sober for the rest of the festival as well, because I was like, the first night I was like, I didn't get to enjoy any of the music because I was too drunk, and it was really nice like being like properly sober at a festival, and it was amazing. Like saw loads of really great music, and then just like met so many great people, just so much love, so much joy, and then there was like a sad moment on the like just before we were all leaving where I was with my ex again, and then it suddenly just hit me that I was just like, oh fuck, like this isn't the same anymore. Like we can't, and like we're gonna do this like silence thing where we're going to give each other more space to like properly recover. And I think it just hit me because I was just like, it's so nice hanging out with him.
And you will have moments of like where it comes flooding back and you'll be upset and pissed off at the fact that you still feel emotional about it because you're like, why can't I be free yet? But that's how we process emotion.
Yeah, there's a lot of that feeling, just like, I just don't want to feel this anymore. But at the same time it's like, but I know why I'm feeling this, because like there was just so much love, and I like we still love each other so much, and it's just like the weirdest, most confusing breakup in the world.
Yeah, it is. I swear breakups are never easy. They are complicated. Even when you think they're easy, they still come back to bite you to be complicated at some point. Ding. Thomas and I.
Yeah, exactly. Like you thought you were totally okay, and then suddenly it was like out of the blue, like fuck.
Months and months later, and it was like, oh, what? Excuse me?
Yeah,
it was. But I think we're doing really good at the moment.
Good.
Exchanging the odd message,
nice.
Just being like, healthy, happy. Plus, he still works for us. He's still our graphic designer.
Yeah, which
is really nice. He could have pulled out immediately and been like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that he didn't.
Yeah, so glad we need him. Jesus Christ. But yeah, to go back oh no, wait, you finished?
Yeah, I basically finished. that was the drama.
Well, how do you feel now after the? Yeah, how do you feel now after the festival? Because it's been 2 days since you've been home.
Massive festival blues, man. Like it was just so happy. So like I just miss like that energy, and I miss Quarantine Bay like a lot. So I've just been crying like spontaneously for the last 2 days.
I don't know why I'm asking you on the podcast. Come field day with us. We might be taking.
I'm going to another. I'm going to fucking Lost Village. It's like 2 festivals weekends so in a row. Like,
yeah, shit.
I popped my festival cherry, and now I'm gonna be at all of the festivals.
Oh my god, festivals are exhausting, but so worth it.
Yeah, I am exhausted.
Next year, man. Sometimes it's like festivals every weekend. You're like, please, no, not again. But you just take it like a champ.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. Shit. Oh yeah, there was lots of good stuff that you said about the festival. Like so many people came up to you and recognised you from the podcast, from Come Curious, which is so
oh my gosh, shout out to all the people that came up to me and recognised me and were like, we love your podcast. I was shook at how many people recognized me, and it made me feel so like warm and fuzzy and happy that like and everyone was so nice. Like the curious fuckers are literally the best people in the world. Like you are so all lovely. The best people. Like I have so much love for every single one of you, because I just feel so warm that we've created such like amazing, like a community of such like amazing people.
Yeah, because a lot of what we do is all online. So yes, we get views and followers, but in our minds that doesn't really equate to real people. It's only when people are recognizing you that you're like, holy fucking shit, like a lot of people know who we are, which is just so lovely, especially if people come up to us. Like we had that meeting with our manager where we sat and had lunch, and like there was like 2 people that came up to us, and it was just, honestly, it's like the best feeling. So if anyone ever sees us, please come say hi, even if we look like we're having a bad day.
It will make us feel better,
make our day so much better. We'll be like, oh yeah. So yeah, to go back, because I realised talking about the whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing, I sounded really angry. And I am angry, but I'm not angry at Sam, bless him. I'm angry at society and the way that we sort of like put the relationship stuff on a pedestal.
Can't you take ownership over like being in a relationship and being boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, can't you be like, these are my rules of being a boyfriend and girlfriend? And like, if someone ever says anything, you're like, no, actually, that's not what it means to us.
See, I know I can, but it's not me that might have a problem with it, you know. Like it's a very hard thing for a lot of people to understand, especially men, because that's difficult, you know. Like especially women, especially when one person wants the idea of boyfriend girlfriend or being in a relationship, and the other person is just like, it's hard to explain why I don't even want the title. But because we have had nice moments recently where I turned up at his and I was like, I've got something to tell you. Yeah, I'm like fully catching feels for you, and this feels really nice. You don't have to feel the same way, but like I'm just gonna sit and relish in this feeling. And he was like so excited and lovely back, and he said the same thing, and that could be why the whole boyfriend girlfriend thing came up, because I was very clear about my feelings. Like, I still am under the impression that you can see each other for years, that you can fall in love, you can have kids without like getting married and being boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, we forget that it's our relationship and we make the rules, but I know it's easy for us, really. And it like a lot of people just don't understand. We're in a space where we can talk about things and understand things, especially where I've come from a non-monogamous relationship where I've already been in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation for 7 fucking years. And when I think about boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm already scared of the term. Like, I associate that term with like all the bad things that we went through, like all the arguments and the bad feelings and the not sleeping next to each other and like the sexless relationship. And that's what I've like associated with that sort of term. Of course that's not true, because we know that we make our own rules, but like, how can I can make that rule easily. I feel comfortable and confident making that rule, but I don't know if anyone else can do that. It's not fair of me to assume that he can turn around and be like, yeah, you're right, like, let's not be boyfriend and girlfriend, but let's do everything that a boyfriend and girlfriend would do. And then all of his mates and all of his family just constantly asking him and judging him about it. Like, I feel confident being like, yeah, man, like, it is what it is. Like, I have the tools to be able to communicate that. But then, obviously, some people don't have the fucking tools because they haven't been fucking taught. Oh, why is it so hard, man? I just want, like, great sex and feels, and I don't want the fucking labels.
Zach!
So, Fucks Given, our lovely little podcast, is being sponsored by STIs.
Oh, yeah. One of our favourite porn companies.
Ethical porn companies.
Based in Berlin, focusing on amateur, solo, and girl-on-girl content. It is tasty.
I mean, this is porn that's made through the female gaze, which is so nice to see. And all the movies are produced by an all-female team. Pussy power to the max.
Oh my God, that is what we love. We love an all-female porn team. That's when you know it's going to be a good content. Yeah, plus, throughout September, you can check out their new sexy boat party shoot with more intimate videos, and you won't want to miss it.
So lots and lots of girl-on-girl action, pussy, eaten.
Oh my God, I was watching some of it earlier and woohoo.
Is that literally turning me on? I need to get my pussy ate right now. Fuck. So STIs believes that porn is an art form and value natural beauty with real human connections, which is just
and that's
the
what you need to
dream.
see. That's what we've always been craving in porn. Like, this is the real stuff.
The real shit.
Shit.
If you head to STIs with our discount code, because we bagged you one of those babies, STIs.com /come curious. STIs is spelled ERSTIES.com pat me on the back there, please. I can spell. I mean, I'm actually just reading this off of the document, so like otherwise I would have fucked that up. So to claim your 50% off trial offer, then use our discount code Come Curious.
Ooh, and also just to say, like, fucking pay for your porn, mate, because if you are not paying for your porn, you shouldn't be watching porn. You need to support your sex workers, especially if you listen to our SOS OnlyFans episode. You know how important this is. And this is one of the ways that you can support your favorite sex worker creators. So pay for your fucking porn. Right, curious fuckers, let's properly introduce our guest, Zach, as well. Hi, Zach. Thank you so much for coming on. Sorry for, like, jumping into the deep end right there.
Hey.
No, fine. Let's do it.
Amazing. Well, while we're here, can you tell our curious fuckers a bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Zachary Zane. I'm a sex and relationship columnist. Actually have a forthcoming book, which is Men's Health Best Sex Ever. So it's the Men's Health sex and relationship book there. But yeah, so I have a column at Men's Health called Sexplain It. It's a sex and relationship advice column. I have a column at Queer Majority called Zach in the City. I've also written for New York Times, Washington Post, GQ, Rolling Stone, a bunch of other places. And I just started this digital zine called Boy Slut. And what it is, it's stories of like nonfiction erotica. So things that actually had happened to you. And the idea behind it, where it's not just like hot, smutty stuff. Like, I wanted to speak to something larger about sex and society, or something that you learned about yourself or your identity. So it's a good combination of, like, you know, sexy writing that will definitely get you, you know, hard and turned on and all that stuff. But also it's like, hey, you might learn something about yourself along the way. So it's that's been a really fun project that I've been working on for the past, like, year now.
That all sounds so cool. So you're basically like the male bi version of Carrie from Sex and the City.
Oh, if I had a nickel.
Had to throw that in there.
Also, your Instagram is spicy. Oh my goodness.
You gotta give the people what they want. I think there are some people who follow me for my writing, and then I think a lot of people who follow me for my body. And I'm okay with either, as long as you follow me.
Yeah, both. Yeah. It's like, yes, fetishize me.
Oh,
you have my consent.
Absolutely fetishize me.
We don't have enough men out there, I think, talking about sex. Like, I've always feel like it's always been a very female-led realm. I don't even know why that's happened, but I just think it's so amazing what you're doing, and like actually being there, like, as a male voice when it comes to sex advice as well. How did you get into it?
So I started writing in 2015. I was actually at Harvard Medical Center working as a smoking cessation researcher and counselor, so figuring out the best way to get people to quit smoking cigarettes. I thought I was going to get a PhD in clinical psych. Cool. I took the GRE, I took the subject test, had my letters of rec, wrote the essays, and was like, I hate academia. I hate these people. They are cutthroat. They are nasty. They will steal your work.
I fucking hate
this. Seemingly altruistic profession. They fucking suck. So I like had a panic attack. I started writing. Ended up writing this novel, and I learned that in order to get an agent, you had to like have written for other places. So I started writing for other places, and I wrote a piece for XO Jane when they had the It Happened to Me vertical from a while ago, which was just such a funny thing, because like people would share like their craziest, darkest desires and be like, I had an abortion, used the fetus to like strangle my husband, and I regret nothing, and they'd give you like $50. That I don't think anyone ever saw. Like, it was just like the commodification and like fetishization of like first person oversharing identity essays.
Wow.
But yeah, so I wrote a piece that was, I came out as bi and now can't date anyone gay or straight. And it was about my experience of how difficult it was for me to embrace my bi identity. And then when I finally came out as bi, I thought kind of the world would be my oyster. I could date men, I could date women, I can date non-binary people. And instead what happened is women wouldn't date me because they would be like, oh, you're secretly gay, or they're insecure, I'm afraid you're going to leave me for a man, there's more competition.
Yeah.
And then the gay men were just incredibly condescending. They'd be like, oh, honey, I was bi too, you'll get there. And I'm like, well, fuck you, I don't want to date you. So all of a sudden I thought I'd have a ton of options, and I went to having 0 options. And ended up falling in love with this bi woman, and I just felt so unconditionally loved and accepted, and it's just such an incredible feeling. And obviously now my boyfriend is gay. I haven't only dated bi people since then, but for what it's worth, I have not dated a straight woman. I think since then, every woman I've dated has been bi.
There are a lot of stereotypes, I think, and you just started talking about them. I guess it reminds me of I don't know if you watched that Love at First Sight program that was on Netflix.
I did.
And there was
the first season, yeah.
The bi guy on that, and then when he finally told the girl that he was seeing, like, her reaction was like exactly why I guess bi men don't want to date straight women.
He handled it poorly. She handled it poorly. I think he was so just expecting such a crummy response that because her response initially was just like, hey, I wish you had told me this. I feel like you lied to me, especially like that's something you do tell someone before you get engaged. I understand that this was expedited via the process of the show here. But initially she was like, I just need some time to kind of deal with it. And it seemed like she was okay with it, but he had already just internalized it as rejection. So then he started being the asshole.
It's very true.
So it was just sad kind of all around. I think he was just so insecure with his identity and just expected this response. It became almost the self-fulfilling prophecy of him pushing her away when she was just like, hey, I feel lied to, because he did kind of lie to her. I need some time, and then it kind of exploded. It was just a really sad and honestly honest depiction of how my male bisexuality often manifests.
Yeah, which is why it's so important for you to have your voice out there.
Thank you.
Talking about biphobia, because that is people don't really, it's not really seen as like as big as homophobia, which is such a shame because you're getting it from all angles, and there is still such a lack of acceptance. And it's like, why is that? Like why is there this huge lack of acceptance from all sexualities, from all areas?
I think it forces people to recognize that the world is not black and white. And I think when there's this level of fluidity and this openness, it makes it really difficult for people to understand that. I think gay people often don't like bi people because they feel like you're not a member of the community. If I end up in a relationship with a woman, I have, passing privilege, and therefore I'm not a part of the gay community. I know that if I walk down the street holding hands with my girlfriend, I'm not going to get mugged, versus when I walk down the street holding hands with my boyfriend, I have been attempted to be mugged just for being gay. And it's just like walking out the door. So it's like, you don't experience this, so why are you a part of our community? And to which I always say, like, if being queer or being gay or bi means that you have to experience trauma and you have to experience discrimination in order to validate your sexuality, that's wildly fucked up. And that speaks that is not that is not what it means to be queer. It does not mean to experience trauma or discrimination.
Yeah.
What it means to be queer is to be romantically or sexually attracted to people of different genders here. Yeah. So I think that's often a lot of what it is. Like, they don't feel like we're truly a part of the community because we don't experience the same discrimination. And then straight people, I honestly think, like, it's a lot of homophobia goes into biphobia as well. I also think a lot of straight people honestly are a little bi. And I think they don't like that. And I think
Imposter
it really
syndrome.
fucking scares them because, bi is not being 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are a lot of straight men who probably have a little bit of an attraction to other men. And it's like, oh, shit, they don't want to engage with that. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to do it. And besides, most of their attraction's to women anyway. So they can hide this element of themselves. And it kind of forces them to be like, fuck, I might actually like some dudes too. So I think it's a lot of internalized biphobia as well as a large contributor to this.
Yeah, it is confusing. You talk about imposter syndrome and being pansexual quite a lot, like dating men and being pansexual. And I think I've experienced this as well. Like I've mostly been straight, I guess, most of my life. But then I have moments where I'm like, oh, actually, and then I start identifying as fluid, because I do have attraction to women sometimes. But there's such like an internalized like, oh no, you can't, you're not part of that community, like you can't be like, and I don't even know how to deal with those feelings most of the time myself.
So I literally wrote an op-ed for the New York Times on this like a month ago. And I think it was called like, yes, you are bi enough, or for whoever needs to hear this, you are bi enough. And I spoke about like specifically women in relationships with men who don't feel like they are members of the queer community, and don't feel like they are allowed to be part of the queer community. And me being like, hey, we want you and we need you. We need you as more than an ally. You are part of this community. We want you to support us. We want you to fight for us. We want you to give us money. You know what I mean? You want us to like to these organizations. And I was really more asking other gay people and other bi people to not be these gatekeepers. It's like, yes, bisexuality means you like men, women, and various genders too. If you end up with like, if you think ending up with a man and you're a woman means you're not bi, then you clearly don't fucking understand what bisexuality means. Like, that's exactly what it fucking means. It was specifically encouraging predominantly women in opposite sex relationships who are bi to embrace it and then be part of this community, because we need you, because we feel so, especially the bi community, we feel so isolated, we feel so alone, we feel like we don't deserve to be here, and there is powers in numbers. So I really was encouraging kind of both of your experiences to really embrace being bi. And when I say bi, Reed, like me for bisexuality means I'm attracted to all genders. It's not like perpetuating a binary. It doesn't mean it's exclusive of non-binary people. Sorry, what did you say?
Like pansexuality and bisexuality are pretty much the same thing. It's just you get to choose what label you feel fits right to you. It's obviously not to the T, the definition. There is still a slight difference, but it really is just down to what feels right for you. Pansexual felt right for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I say bi. I remember one time someone was like, oh, you're being bi, that's transphobic. And I was like,
what?
I'm like,
hey, I've heard that so many times. I've heard about pansexuality.
I'm like, you're the one being transphobic, because if anything, being bi and you're saying it perpetuates a binary, that would mean men and women. So you're not even considering trans women to be women. If you want to make this argument, the argument would be it is not inclusive of non-binary people. But if you're saying it's not inclusive of trans people, then you're the fucking one being transphobic. But also what I find so ridiculous about this is like, bi people are the ones who do date non-binary people and trans people. Like, we do it at such fucking higher rates. So to have the audacity to say like you're transphobic or non-binary phobic, I'm like, I'm the fucking one who dates you. You're not gonna have a straight fucking hetero guy dating this non-binary person unless he feels really comfortable about his identity. Like,
it's more just like, how do people think that it's okay to comment on someone's sexuality? Like, where has that even come from? Why is that even an acceptable thing to do? Like, oh yeah, like, are you really bi? Like, I think you're gay. Like, why are you commenting on something else that's so personal to them? Like, what's your opinion going to fucking change?
Do you prefer men or women then? Those sort of questions.
Oh god, yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, that question is there's a million things wrong with that question that I could answer, but we don't have to go into that now. But like, so that's. I feel like I started rambling here. Sorry, what was the question? What's the next question?
That's okay. I mean, I've had a lot of imposter syndrome, just like not feeling gay enough to be bi, not feeling gay enough to be pansexual. What I've in my journey this year, really, I've only realised that, especially moving from bisexual to pansexual, and I'm like, well, what's the change? What is there? But I had this amazing experience recently where, especially with my fetish, my tickle and bondage fetish, where I have some friends over across the seas, and one of them is non-binary, and it really sort of established and solidified my feelings in not being straight, in being pansexual, and that was like a magical experience of like, oh my goodness, like that was why it just really sort of, I don't know, it was life-changing for me. So yeah, recently discovering, because obviously there are different types of love and different types of lust and attraction, and going through life and really only being what I thought attracted to men, but then also having feelings for women. I really realised that I was sexually attracted to men, but romantically attracted to women. And it made so much sense when I looked at all the women in my life that I had been obsessed with or in love with. It was never sexual. It was always like just that overbearing, like, I need to be with you, I want to be with you. And that was a huge life-changing moment of like not having to fit into this category of you have to date all these genders to fit in the bi or pan category. It can literally be that you fancy or that you're sexually attracted to one type and then romantically attracted to another. Or, you know, like we haven't had the opportunity to be able to taste the flavors of the world. So like, how do we know? We can't know for a fact. We can only just go based on like what we think about, what we masturbate over, what we have feelings towards. And even then, something still might come out of the blue, like when trans came more into the mainstream, and that was like when I was in my teens, and really realizing, oh my god, it's not just when men and women I want to get with. There's so many people out there. I was like, oh, what? I wish sex education fucking sorted me out on that one. My life would have been, I swear, a little bit more easy. I swear. So, Zach, what are the myths around... What was it? What's this question again? I'm sorry. Whoa, hold on a second. The myths around male bisexuality.
I wonder, actually, after the conversation that we've just been having, it seems like society understands women being bisexual a lot easily... I can't talk either. A lot more easily than male bisexuality. Why do you think this is?
I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not sure exactly why it is. I don't know what the root of that is, where for some reason women... It just seems more accepted and more normalized. I think there is...
Is it just toxic masculinity, right?
What?
Yeah. I was just about to say, yeah, like toxic masculinity.
I think it does have to do with toxic masculinity. I think... we don't allow men to kind of engage in like platonic intimacy with each other. The fact that like men have to say no homo to each other versus women do not say no homo to each other after, you know, hugging or whatever it is. Yeah. Women have always been allowed to kind of have cuddle dates with each other, and they're not gay and they're not bi. They're allowed to be more touchy versus men. It's like, oh, you touch another man, you must be gay. And I think we also just don't allow for any real exploration with men. And, you know, it's just like, okay, if you made out with a guy once while drunk, it's like, you must secretly be gay. You must secretly be bi. Versus, like, if a woman got drunk and made out with another woman, no one would be like, oh, she's secretly gay. She's secretly bi.
No one would question it. They're like, oh, that's really hot.
No. It's really hot, right? Be fetishized.
That's normal.
So I think, honestly, what we need to do is allow for straight men to have more platonic intimacy without it being considered gay. And because of that, that would actually allow for just like less homophobia, less biphobia, and then it will allow for more men to kind of openly embrace being bisexual.
Yeah.
I mean, a dude can fuck another dude and still not be gay.
Yeah, sexual, like what your
that's something that we just
do not like dictate your attractions. You know, there's gay for pay porn. My boyfriend, he's gay, and he has some very cool opportunities to make a lot of money doing like these porn like videos, like not like regular pornos, like these fashion bisexual things. And I'm like, well, I think we should practice before you get there and not being able to fuck this woman. I think we should get you some Viagra, and I will call up some friends, and I think you should have sex with them, because otherwise you're going to be on set and not going to be able to do this. And even if he successfully has sex with a woman, the man's not bi. The man is gay. He just likes fucking making money in his career here. You know what I mean? So
is it about embracing like femininity as well, and not just because I think like a lot of men are like they have to be like a man's man, like, and they don't sort of take in any of their like feminine parts of their personality.
I think that's definitely a part of it. And you still have a lot of bi men and, you know, quote unquote DL men.
Sorry, what's DL men?
On the down low.
Oh, yeah.
And these men, you know, present still stereotypically masculine. and tough and all this stuff, and but then love getting fucked, you know. And it's like, yes, you can be a masculine bottom. They're like, you don't have to. Being bi doesn't make you more effeminate, but it's definitely, I think, for a lot of these DL men, very performative, their masculinity, because they feel like that's a way they reaffirm their manhood despite the fact that they're having sex with men. Yet the irony is that, like, these two are actually two distinct entities here, right? It's not like your femininity has nothing to do with your sexual attractions. You can be a very effeminate straight man. You can be a very masculine gay man.
Yeah.
Do they tend to be somewhat correlated? Yes. Yes, they do. Although I don't think that's necessarily genetic. I think that's necessarily, it's society telling men how they're supposed to behave, and even society telling gay men. And, being like, you should be a flamboyant queen because that's what it means to be gay. And I definitely have had some gay friends who were straight or, before they came out. And yes, they were hiding elements of their sexuality and their identity. But all of a sudden, it's like they got a gay lisp once they came out as gay. And I'm like, you never had a lisp. And I don't know how you were hiding that aspect of your identity, because a lisp seems like something you should have regardless.
So it's quite a strange transition.
Even gay men are like, okay, well, I should be more effeminate, or I should be this gay stereotype or trope, when that might not even necessarily be them. So I think it's actually for both gay and straight men.
So, Zach, what are the common myths when it comes to male bisexuality?
There are a few. I think the big one is that, you're secretly gay. You're using it as a stepping stone on the way to being gay. And the reason why that is so common is because many gay men do that. It's not something that does, like, yes, a lot of men use bi on the way to being gay. That doesn't mean that every bi man does. And I wish gay men stopped doing that? Yes, although, whatever it is, it's their journey, and if for some reason they feel more comfortable using this as a stepping stone. But if gay men didn't do that, I think it would be a lot easier for bi men. I think there's this idea of, being cheaters, more likely to leave you for someone of another gender, more likely to spread STIs, or to be, there's often like this like moral ambiguity that kind of goes along with being bisexual. And I've seen that in media tropes where they have like the evil bisexual, where somehow like having a fluid sexuality equates to having like a fluid
sleeping
morality,
around,
which is a bizarre connection to make.
People also say like, oh, I could never date someone who's bi because I'm too jealous, because they're like, oh, they're just going to be attracted to everyone around you.
Yeah, it's also this idea that we do fuck everyone.
What is that?
I do fuck everyone, but most bi people are not fucking everyone.
Yeah.
And also when that happens, I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll just cheat on you with another girl. like you guys forget
just
that,
even
like,
up the playing
oh yes,
field,
straight men never cheat. They never leave you for a younger, hotter, fucking 22-year-old when they have their midlife
crisis. It makes zero difference.
It's like, in the way they say this, it's like, yes, people cheat. People leave you. It can happen to anyone under any circumstance. But I also don't want to invalidate the fact that this shit does happen. There are bi men who come out as gay. There are bi men who do leave you for a person of the other gender. But it's just like, if you love this, it's a risk you take in terms of any relationship, things going wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms of someone leaving you or breaking your heart or whatever it is. And it just seems like not a reason to not date a bi guy. But I've also noticed there is a silver lining. At first I was very bummed out about it, but now it's like the people who are open to dating bi guys are often by themselves. It's also, honestly, a proxy for the types of personalities and behaviors that I really like. They tend to be more open-minded. They tend to care less about gender roles. They tend to be more open to the idea of polyamory or open relationships or all of these. It's almost like they've done the introspection. They've done the thing being like, oh, being bi doesn't mean all these negative stereotypes. It just means they like men and women. And we can now actually exist away from these heteronormative scripts because of that. So, like, it is a cool silver lining, and that's why I always actually recommend that people put that they're bi on their dating profiles. I'm like, hey, you're gonna get significantly less matches if you are a man. For women, it's different. You get fetishized, the unicorn hunting, all that shit. But as a man, you'll get 10%, like, in terms of women, like 10% of the matches you used to get. Like, it's gonna go down exponentially. But those women that you do get will be so much better matches with you. And then you don't also have to worry about being on the date and being like, when do I tell them I'm bi? What if they don't like me because I'm bi? What if they don't want to leave me? Because I think at first I was like, well, if they get to know me, then I tell them I'm bi, it's better, and I can answer their questions. But that's not how it's been. It's just easier to just fucking do it from the get-go. If they swipe white, they know what they're getting into. Yeah. And but I've met such quality, I don't want to say higher quality of people. That's like a weird, I don't want to like describe people in that way, but at least for me, better matches, better open people, more explorative people, and people who've put in a lot of work into themselves and introspection and don't believe all the negative things that society has taught us about sex and relationships. So I really appreciate that.
But I don't know if you guys have noticed a lot of stigma now towards the straight cis male. I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing, like, even in our conversation, be like, oh, just another white man, like middle-aged white man. Of course, it's still acceptable to take the piss out of shit like that, because you're always allowed to rip into people that are more privileged, you know, like that have the privilege. That's the general rule, not always the right rule.
I don't think we should do it the way we are doing it.
No, I think it's going to push people the opposite way, right? It's going to push all these poor cis males.
White cis straight men are fragile. That's what, when we're making fun of them for being fragile. So they're going to respond super shitty. Because
this is how we get maniacs.
How they fucking respond. We're just egging them on.
Yeah,
it's like,
this is how we get murdered.
Need to coddle them like babies because they are fucking babies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though they have the power and the privilege, like, I don't think us shitting on them, and I do this too. I shit on them too, and I need this to stop. It's
I do say I'm just like, oh, it's a white, like,
it's low-hanging
just
fruit.
Just another white straight guy,
which is not fair. It's really not fucking fair, because there are a lot of white straight males out there that are actually genuinely lovely, and they are genuinely trying.
And they know, and like, I don't want to be like, oh, this is such a hard time to be a white cis straight man. It's like, no, they're doing fucking fine. Like let's, you know, they still have the privilege and still the power. But I do believe that all these jokes that we are making is not helping anything. It just kind of comes off as passive aggressive, and it's just going to make them more emboldened and more entitled and more frustrated by us. And whether or not you believe that's our responsibility is one thing, but it's just like, I don't think, again, I'm still someone who does it, but I don't think it's helping the world. I'll leave it at that.
No. It's not helping.
No.
But also,
then
fuck
again,
these
really
dudes. No.
Back onto the myths. Was there any others that you thought?
A big one is, STI spreading and HIV spreading.
Yeah.
And, there are a subsect of DL men who absolutely have spread HIV and been that bridge. But, now I think a lot of it comes down to if you are open about your bisexuality, you're less likely to spread. Again, I'm not a scientist. This is kind of from my reading and my research. I don't want to be quoted on this necessarily. But it's like, if you are on the DL, you're not getting tested, you're not using condoms. Okay, then I think there's a higher risk at spreading HIV and being that bridge. But if you're like, I'm someone who is on PrEP, it's a daily pill that you take that decreases your chances of getting HIV by like 99.99%. So I don't use condoms with everyone. But there is no fear of me passing on HIV to other people. So I think it really does not come down to, being bi means you spread HIV. It means, A, are you wearing condoms? Are you open about your sexual identity? Are you open about your STI status and stuff like that? Yeah. I think when people are spreading STIs, I think a lot of it has to do with the shame of having gay sex and then not talking about it and then, spreading it to other people.
Yeah. Well, this is why we just need to normalize the conversation around getting to the sexual health clinic anyway. Like, everyone should be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, gay, straight, bi, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've got genitals, if you're having any kind of sex, not just penetrative, you should be getting tested on the regular. And it's not even just getting tested, it's getting your results. And if you do have something, having the courage to be able to tell your sexual partners. Because, again, getting an STI, you've not done anything wrong. There's this, weird idea that you're the bad person, you're the one that's, caused this. There's a lot of anger and emotion involved. When really, it should just be a conversation like, shit, man, I've caught this. I want to make sure that you're safe and you're not passing it on to anyone else. So just, you don't have to tell anyone that you think you've got anything. Wait till you get test results. Don't have sex in the meantime. Jesus fucking Christ.
Take some pills and you don't have sex for a week. And the fact that we call it disease, I really like that we switched to STIs, sexually transmitted infections. Yeah. It's like, you don't call a sinus infection a disease. Like, this is gonorrhea, it is a bacterial infection. Chlamydia is a bacterial infection. So is syphilis. You would never call, an ear infection, a disease. Like, the fact that was just so stigmatizing in and of itself. A lot of, a lot of the herpes shaming, people
catching an STI
is until, and again, don't quote me on it because I need to look at the research on this, but I'm pretty sure until Valtrex and Vasiclovir came out, they purposely started stigmatizing getting herpes in order for people to start treating it daily. So literally, it was the pharma companies trying to make these STIs seem bad. Versus beforehand, it's just like, okay, you got herpes, you have an infection, and you fucking live your life. Everyone's gonna go get herpes at some point. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But all the stigma associated with it is, I think, relatively new, since maybe the early '80s, and kind of coincided with. A lot of the HIV stigma is because it was gay men and because it was black people, right? Like, that's why there was so much hatred. That's where STI stigma came towards HIV. It was because it was for these marginalized groups that people wanted an excuse to hate. And therefore, so much of STI stigma and shame is actually rooted in racism and homophobia, which is extremely fucked, or in pharmaceutical companies trying to make money. Equally fucked.
I feel like a lot of illnesses come down to that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think a lot of the world comes down to that.
Yeah.
Whilst we still have you here, we did want to talk about men coming out as bi and whether there is more of a struggle to come out for men as bisexual, and what your best advice would be for someone who is coming out.
I mean, it's a struggle coming out as everything. I think you have the added addition of people often not believing you. When you have a flaming little gay boy come out as gay, no one's like, well, are you sure you're gay? You're like, no, he's gay. That seems pretty clear. Whether or not they accept them for being gay is another story. But the bi, which is different, is people will be like, well, are you sure you're bi? And that's very frustrating. One thing I always recommend is not saying it like you have cancer. I'm talking to people, they'll tell partners, they'll be like, I have something to tell you, like, I'm bi. It's like, weirdly enough, the more casual you are in coming out and expressing it, the more casual their response will be. If you make it seem like it's this big deal, they'll make it seem like it's this big deal. I'd say don't feel entitled, or not entitled, don't feel obligated to defend yourself. Hey, I didn't think bisexuality existed in men because I know this guy in college who identifies bi and then he was gay. I'd be like, okay. I no longer engage in shit like this. You don't have to engage in shit like this. Make them feel uncomfortable for asking that stupid fucking question. Like, it's like, you don't have to defend yourself to anyone. And I've gotten much better being like, well, I heard bi men, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm gonna go. Like you can just leave conversations. You're a grown-ass person.
Cool.
So I feel like don't feel obligated to defend yourself. Don't feel like you have to have everything figured out. Especially if you're coming out to your parents or something. Will this mean you're gonna marry a man or a woman? Or you're gonna still have kids? And you can just be like, Mom, all this means is that I know I'm attracted to men and women and non-binary people. That's all it means for me right now. As for the rest of it, I can't tell you. And then no one can predict the future. I think a lot of people just have a lot of questions. And of course, you can do your best in answering the questions if you want to, but don't feel obligated to.
So, Zach, it's been amazing you coming on. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Where can our curious fuckers find you online and find your books?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So finding me online, honestly, Instagram, Twitter is always solid. It's Zachary Zane _. There's an underscore at the end. Some punk has Zachary Zane. He doesn't even use it.
Shit, have I just been calling you?
fucker?
Have I just been calling you Zach
I know,
this entire?
ZacharyZane.com. Wait, sorry, say that again?
Have I just been calling you Zach this entire time? It's actually Zachary, and I've just fucked up every time.
No. So it's weird. In conversation, I go by Zach, but then every time I write my name, every time it comes out, every time I'm introduced, it's Zachary. So both work interchangeably, totally. I call myself Zach and Zachary.
Thank fuck.
No, you are completely fine. Honestly, also just Google Boy Slut and definitely subscribe to that publication. It is kinky, fun, erotica. You'll learn something about yourself. My
That
men's
sounds
health sex
so
book
good.
is coming out in April. Follow me, and I'll be doing a ton of promo for that. And then my Boy Slut book will be coming out in like 2023. So you'll be all this stuff takes forever. So that, which will be a memoir manifesto, and I'm super excited for that. But that's a little bit down the line. I'll come back on the show in a year and a half and we'll discuss that then.
Yes, amazing.
You do
Thank you so much.
Your column's like an advice column as well, so people can write into you their questions.
Oh, absolutely. So the sex and relationship advice column at Men's Health, and it's for all genders. It really focused on men in the beginning. I only responded to questions from men. If men are somehow involved in the question, I will answer it. So probably the one thing I won't answer is probably like a lesbian spat. It would be the lesbian problem, just because it's like two women and have no men whatsoever. But if you are a woman dating a man or have questions about man, you can absolutely write in, even though it's still Men's Health. I answer questions from people of all genders and all sexualities.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing as well.
Thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
What a pleasure it was to have Zach on the podcast. That was really awesome.
Yeah, so nice to hear male bisexual men talking so openly about it, because I feel like there's a huge gap in the online community, in the world, talking about sex. It's just, it's really refreshing. We need more bi men out there, please. Please, I beg of you.
And more men in general talking about sex and giving sex advice, because like women can't do it all.
No, we can't. We can try. We
try. We always try, because we always fucking do it all. Fuck's sake.
Fuck's sake. Well, curious.
But anyway,
fuckers.
Thank you. Sorry.
Today is just hard, fan. Anyway, curious fuckers, please, if you loved this podcast, send it around. Send it to someone who might appreciate and enjoy this episode, as well as make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you like it, if you do all the good things, comment, that kind of stuff. It makes
that gets it in more
good.
People's ears.
Yeah, baby. And of course, if you want to follow our shit more, then you can just go onto Instagram, which is @ComeCurious, as well as our personal accounts @ReadAmberX and @FlorenceBark.
And this is on YouTube as well. So if you have listened to this in your ears and you want to see what we look like, it's on our YouTube channel, Come Curious.
And we will see you all next Thursday, motherfuckers.
See you next Thursday, Curious Buggers.
Ooh.